On the phone with us now is Ann Bremner. She is a former sex crimes prosecutor in Seattle. Ann, can you hear us?
I can.
Fantastic. And I believe you're in Seattle right now. And try to give us some perspective, if you can, please, on what the changes mean to this entire proceeding.
Well, this could be a huge turnaround. I mean, in fact, it will be. What it means is, if you've got these kinds of problems, I mean, bombshell problems with the complaining witness, including credibility problems on a rape accusation, in an asylum application, and then issues with credibility with money, the deposits, et cetera, et cetera. The whole case can crumble, and it might crumble today with a dismissal against Strauss-Kahn. And I think that should remind all of us that when a case is first reported, we have to stand back and ask, what does the other side say? What is the full tapestry of this case? And let's let the justice system play out to find if somebody's really innocent or guilty.
What needs to happen for the charges to actually be dropped?
Well, it's up to the prosecutor's side, Vance, of course, in Manhattan. He's got utmost integrity, and I know him. I've tried a case against him for 10 weeks out in Seattle when he practiced out there in criminal defense. And it's up to him to make that decision and to follow through. But I think the fact that the government investigated these allegations, I guess we could call them, and came forward to the attorneys for Strauss-Kahn means that they're taking this very seriously and may well end up not pursuing the prosecution they instituted.
Well, Ann, given your background, a sex crimes prosecutor, having worked with Cyrus Vance, the prosecutor, can you try to handicap this thing for us? What do you think the chances are that it actually gets dropped?
I think the chances are really high. I mean, I knew Cy for over a decade in Seattle. He's got great integrity. He's a man of great honor and fairness. And in looking at what we know now in these bombshell developments, I would believe that Cyrus Vance would do what I think is the right thing and not pursue this, especially when you look at what's happened to Strauss-Kahn in the press all around the world with the restrictions he's had on bail, including $100,000 a month he has to pay for armed bodyguards, and the restrictions that he has for house arrest. Enough is enough. And this is a case, at least at first blush, from what we're hearing about these developments, it would appear that justice would be served by this case being abandoned.
And Ann, it's a long weekend. How long do you think it's going to take for the prosecution to make that decision?
I don't think it'll take long. And Cyrus works long hours, and as I said, he's incredibly fair, and I have utmost respect for him. If justice requires the abandonment of this case, he will work tirelessly to make sure that happens. And I think we have to be reminded that a 30-second press piece or a 10-column news article that came out at the time of the allegations against Strauss-Kahn and his charging, have to be re-examined now as the facts play out in reality in terms of what the evidence would show about this accuser and this case.
Well, Ann, let me ask you, how does the U.S. justice system end up looking in light of what's happening here?
Well, the problem is that the U.S. justice system, in acting quickly on charges where someone might be leaving the country, remember they cited to the Polanski case of the inability to extradite him from France. And Strauss-Kahn was leaving on a plane for France, was in his seat and ready to go when they arrested him on the plane. They have to act quickly. And to hold him in custody.
And by the way, Ann, forgive us, we just have to tell you, these images, this is Dominique Strauss-Kahn. This is a live photo that you are seeing right now as he is going into what appears to be the courthouse downtown in southern Manhattan. So dramatic. Look at the number of, this has worldwide implications. And we have to ask you, is there any sort of sense perhaps that even though in this country we pride ourselves on innocent until proven guilty, that somehow we might have crossed some sort of line? Is there any issue at play here to that effect?
Yeah, I actually did a piece with the New York Times on Room for Debate on this issue. We have a wonderful system in the United States, and we have innocence until proven guilty. But you don't have that right in the press. And oftentimes it takes some catch-up for the defense when they're initially charged. And I think that's just, we have to embrace that as part of our world, of our freedom of press, of the First Amendment in the United States. But in the system, all of the facts are adduced and justice prevails there.